At the start of the 20th century, modern war had advanced in never-before-seen capacities that not only redefined the tactics and landscapes of war, but also brought about new technology that required a new definition structure within the Army. By World War II, the historical echelons of cavalry troops, along with the newly developed armored force, built the groundwork of armored troops in World War II. In view of the armored concepts that the Germans had perfected and employed in the beginning years of the Second World War, the United States saw fit to create an improvised division of troops specifically designated as armored. This initial division was formed with troops from the mechanized 7th Cavalry Brigade and a provisional tank brigade. After seeing its success in practical maneuvers, the armored force was established on July 10, 1940. The Army designated several different unit sizes across branches, which were utilized by the armored branch as well. The highest unit designated for operating fully armored was a division. In each division, there were armored regiments and battalions attached, each of which had companies and further designated smaller units. With the armored force creation came the elements of a fully fledged armored division designated with high mobility and protected firepower. In 1940, this division was structured as a self-sufficient combined arms team with an armored brigade comprised of 368 tanks from 2 light and 1 heavy armored regiment. Additionally, a field artillery regiment and ground reconnaissance battalion, as well as an aviation observation squadron, were attached to the division. The support utilized an armored infantry regiment and field artillery battalion, along with an engineer battalion. Division service was made up of a quartermaster, ordnance, and medical battalion, as well as a signal company. In total, the division strength totaled 12,697 soldiers. On the 1st of March 1942, a reorganization introduced what were known as heavy armored divisions, with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Armored Divisions utilizing this designation. The structure contained 2 armored regiments, both with 2 light and 4 medium tank battalions. Each tank battalion had 3 companies each. The idea of the armored brigade was eliminated, replaced with 2 combat command headquarters, CCA and CCB. The previous field artillery regiment from the earlier armored division was reduced to 3 105mm field artillery battalions. The total strength of this division totaled 390 tanks and 14,620 men. 1 year later, in September of 1943, another reorganization occurred, with the current capacity of 16 armored divisions, all converting besides the 2nd and 3rd, which stayed as heavy armored divisions. This new reorganized division was referred to as a light armored division. The 2 armored regiments were replaced with 3 tank battalions, each with 3 medium and 1 light tank company. Different from the 3 total companies a tank battalion had under the heavy division structure. A reserve command was added to the other 2 command headquarters. This divisional structure had a total strength of 263 tanks and just under 11,000 men. 9 more tanks were added in early 1945. As stated previously, each tank battalion under the light armored division had 3 medium and 1 light tank company. A medium tank company was composed of a company headquarters section and 3 platoons. The headquarters section utilized 3 M4 Sherman tanks. Each tank had a commander as the man in charge, a gunner who was responsible for controlling the main and machine gun, a loader responsible for feeding ammunition into the weaponry, and a driver responsible for steering the tank. The company commander and a communication chief were split between these 3 M4s. An additional jeep with a tank commander, liaison agent, and driver accompanied the headquarters section. A maintenance section with an M3A1 half-track, a jeep, and an M32 tank recovery vehicle were also part of the company HQ. The last group in HQ was the admin, mess, and supply section with a cargo truck. The 3 platoons each had 5 Sherman tanks. The platoon commander rode in the first command tank with the same additional roles that the headquarters tanks had. An additional 2 sections made up the platoon, each having 2 M4 Shermans. The light tank company was similar in structure, however utilizing different types of tanks. Instead of the M4 Sherman, these companies utilized the M5A1 Stewart, which would eventually be replaced by the M24 Chaffee starting in late 1944. Not all armored forces were attached under the overhead of one armored division. The Army also utilized separate tank battalions to attach to other units. This battalion varied as a heavy or light tank battalion, but by 1943, they were all organized to conform to the standard divisional tank battalion, composed of 75mm M4 Sherman medium tanks and 27mm M5 light tanks. The M24 Chaffee light tanks gradually replaced the M5s in late 1944. A total of 65 of these battalions existed by the end of 1944, compared to a total of 66 infantry divisions. These battalions would be attached to a frontline division, eventually being introduced as organic components of a division by 1945. Outside of the standard divisional structure, the armored force brought up specialized tank battalions during the war. One flamethrower tank battalion was raised, fighting in Okinawa. Several special medium tank battalions equipped with mine excavator M4 tanks were also utilized in Europe as part of a combat engineer regiment. An airborne tank battalion with M22 light airborne Locust tanks was also established, however it was shortly converted into a regular tank battalion. Across the Second World War, the development of armored warfare increased greatly, with combined teams as well as standalone divisions utilizing the armored tanks that proved so important in combat. Today, the Army continues to employ standalone armored divisions as a means of destroying the enemy, some of which trace their history back to the initial creation of an armored force at the start of World War II.